Hi, everyone. It's Roland Kim here with the Week in Review for September 2nd to September 8th. As always, please reach out to me if there's anything that this conversation brings up in the short recording that I can help you with. All right, so let's talk a little bit about real estate market in Metro Vancouver. Currently, 8 days into the month of September, there's 319 logged firm sales in our board, averaging out to 40 a day. Multiply it by 30 days in September. We're currently trending for only about 1,200 transactions versus the 1,926 that we got last year for September. So it's interesting because it's currently trending for a 30% decline versus year over year for the month of September. But I do believe that September will start to warm up in the end and build into a busy October. And part of that is because we just got our third Bank of Canada overnight interest rate reduction with a lot of language as well, indicating that future reductions are on the horizon. And so right now, it is definitely more of a buyer's market. However, the sellers are fairly entrenched in the valuation that they attach to their properties. And so you, as a buyer, sometimes find a good deal or make a good deal by, by finding someone that is needing to liquidate, needing to move forward. And otherwise, most of the sellers seem to be holding on to their positions, believing that eventually the market's going to warm up again. And we're expecting that by late September, early October. Mind you, 8 days into September, that has not started to show itself. We talked a little bit in the past about inflation. It has come down again, sitting at 2.5%. And the fundamentals of the Vancouver real estate pressure have not changed. We're certainly seeing that, more and more projects are slower in coming on board, slower in getting approved. And so there's still a continuous lack of new inventory being prepped or even being built. And that is going to be part of the pressure cooker that we'll see in the years ahead. That's going to ramp up our activity levels. And so if you are not living in your final home, not living in your best and biggest home, and you are looking to upsize sometime, I can't emphasize enough how right now is a perfect time if you are able to manage the rates and the numbers to find a great home because the market will be getting busier, be it this fall or early next spring. Interesting thing for all of you to consider when you are buying a new property is with these ongoing calamities in the environment and insurance claims, wildfires are pretty consistent every year in BC. And so there's large parts of BC for many months throughout the summer that you can't bind insurance on. And so if you're going to buy in an area that is, wildfire prone, it is in your best interest to speak with your realtor and make sure that you have clauses in there that protect you, that clarify, what is the responsibility and what is agreed to by the seller and the buyer in order to make sure that, a contract is extended or variations are provided so that you can get insurance. And if you are a seller, really make sure that you don't cancel your insurance too early because we've certainly seen in the last couple of years, in our own experience, transactions that couldn't close because the buyer couldn't bind home insurance on the property because it was within the radius, and it's a large radius that the wildfire cannot be within in order for a new person to bind insurance on a property they're purchasing. So that is an ongoing thing that you need to now, put into your memory bank of what you need to consider when you're buying or selling a property. Minimum down payment was just released in BC. It is required at $71,000 to buy a property. It's the highest in Canada. I don't think that surprises anyone. And yeah, so it continues to be an expensive area to be purchasing your first property. We did discuss inflation's down, but interest in knowing that the Canadian unemployment rate has gone up is intriguing, and I believe we're going to crush through 7% unemployment here later this year and into the next year, and that is a story about. Most of the jobs that have recently come onto the market are part-time jobs. And so we've lost a lot more full-time jobs, and employers are just a lot slower to jump back in and replace positions that are getting emptied or that are getting vacant because there's a lot of headwind coming with the economy. There's a lot of challenges on what the future looks like with the economy in Canada and abroad as well. One of the things that I am enjoying seeing is you might have remembered last year there was a lot of uproar about how many properties, not properties, how many how many spots were provided to international students for for in universities throughout the country. And so that caused a big impact with the federal government finally, that they put a cap on the number of international students, and they wanted to reduce it by 35% from last year to this year. Good news is we're 45% lower in student enrollment is the estimate right now this year of foreign students, international students. So although that provides less money for the schools, I do believe it's the right thing to do to provide a lot more spaces for Canadians, because we are paying a lot more for those schools in our taxes than those schools are making through international students. On another note, in the rental market, we are certainly noticing that 1 year ago, we had the peak of rental pricing, was the most expensive rates going on, and now it's substantially lower in the interest levels. Certainly rents have come down a little bit, but not a crazy amount. But what has really shown itself is properties that used to have a dozen, 2 dozen people who were interested in renting it, might have one or two, and it might take 1 or 2 weeks to find them. And so a well-rated, a well-priced rental will still get filled very effectively. However, gone are the days of escalating rent prices going up. And rents are certainly lower than they were a year ago. In fact, I've seen as low as 15% lower from 1 year ago. And the rental rates and the rental market is something we can discuss further in the episodes ahead. And that is one area where I do believe, as momentum starts happening with the different layers of government, that we're going to see a bunch of purpose-built rentals coming onto the market built by the governments. We're already knowing that developers have migrated to building a lot more rental purpose units, as those have been more easily, approved and easier to build in the last little while versus building for the resale market. And so I do believe in the years ahead, it might take a few more years to get there, that based on income, the percentage of a person, a renter's wage going towards their living costs are going to go lower. It's going to get better for the renter, because I do believe more rentals are coming online in the years ahead. And so rental rates have probably, peaked for a little while. That doesn't mean that they aren't going up by inflation, but they're not going to go up by double-digit numbers in the years ahead, is my prediction. Lots to talk about. It really is specific to what's relevant to you and what's important to you. So if I can be of service, reach out to me. Hope you're having a great week ahead.